I be sucking all the dicks. So, welcome to episode 7, season 3, Pravity. Today, we are talking about a story that I've told before in season 1. Actually, my most popular one of all time. But since this entire season is all about sex and is me telling every sex story that I can remember, and surely there are some I can't remember. So we're at the point in the chronology where I first encountered a man named Ziggy. And at the time, I was 27 years old and he was about 21, maybe 5'7", dark skin, adorable little murderer. Now, caveat, I actually have no idea what Ziggy was in prison for. I can't even be 100% sure that the name on his badge that I remember is accurate. But what I do remember is how good this man looked. And it wasn't like a classic attractive. You know, he was short and thin, but like perfectly muscled and with tattoos all down his front, tattoos all up on his shoulders, all of it contrasting. uh, I mean, arguably some of the most beautiful skin I've ever seen in my life. And he had a dick like a baseball bat and was just not shy about it. So, as I've told you before, I was at East Baton Rouge Parish Prison on L2, which was a self-contained line for homosexuals, protected custody. And I, unlike most of the other residents of L2, I'm gonna post a little picture right here to show you what L2 looked like. It won't be like a photo, but it'll be a little drawing. Most of the other residents of L2 were trans women who were there for possession with intent, possession, kiting checks, prostitution, but mostly prostitution. There was one pair of girls there for murder, attempted murder, but that's not this episode. So, around this time, there was a song on the radio that was really popular, and I really liked it. It was Knocks You Down by Carrie Hilson and Kanye West and Neo. And the way you listen to music at the time in Paris prison was through this like garbage $30 battery powered AM FM radio with these little nasty wired earbuds that would barely stay in your ears. At least they would barely stay in mine. And uh but every once in a while you'd find an inmate, like an actual inmate, because we weren't really like, you'd find an actual convict, like somebody who was from prison, because this wasn't prison, this is jail. It's essentially the equivalent of a county jail. We would occasionally find someone come in from an actual prison, usually Angola or Elaine Hunt, and they had access to like actual commissary with like real stuff on it, real shoes, real clothes, real headphones. And this one guy came in and he must have been 60, 65. And he had a pair of actual over the ear headphones that, to me, with these nasty little earbuds, this was like money. This was amazing. Cause I could tune all of these loudmouth bitches out and just listen to music. And I didn't have to listen to an endless stream of 106 in Park all day long, over and over and over again. I liked the music, but I mean, come on, people. Or The Young and the Restless. Fuck that shit. I will never watch an episode of that. It's so horrible. And I love drama. I love soap operas. I'm that bitch. Anyway, this guy comes in because he was about to get sentenced again for a second crime, and he didn't have any money. Like everything that he had, he worked at Angola to earn and then like bought stuff there, including these headphones. But he was being transferred out and they weren't going to let him take any of this stuff with him past East Baton Rouge Parish Prison because he didn't know where he was going. So he was trying to offload it to get like whatever, he could in the moment. And some of the girls on the unit had crack. So, he needed some funds as best he could. And I took on his debt in exchange for those headphones, and he got him some crack. So it is what it is. But I got these headphones, right? And I could not hear shit. And people got to know that I couldn't hear shit. Slightly relevant for later. So that song was on the radio. Sometimes love, it knocks you down. Sometimes it does. And it's roughly a year into my 8 years. And I've spent almost all of it at East Baton Rouge Parish Prison. And I've gotten really good at gaming the system and manipulating the rules to be able to get out of the unit and go suck all the dicks. And I've told y'all this before. I would just do a medical emergency. I'd go tap on that window. Robinson, Dyer, I'm bleeding out my booty hole. Let me go. And I would say, medical emergency. And I used to think this was paid for by Medicaid because I was a federal inmate. But technically, I did some research after a few posts, and it's actually the United States Marshal Service that has to pay for this. And they negotiate a deal. But since the entire thing is predatory, that whole $75 medical charge is just a way to keep people from leaving the unit on fake medical emergencies. So they don't differentiate between a fake one and a real one. So, all these girls that don't have any money, the other inmates that don't have any money, they get stuck because they can't both have commissary and file in a medical emergency. Because if you file that medical emergency and you don't have any money on your books, you now have a negative $75 balance on your commissary, which means you can't order commissary until you clear that $75 negative up. It's like your checking account being negative. It's fucked up. So fuck you, East Baton Rouge Parish, for that shit. But also, I took advantage of it. Not gonna lie. Because I didn't have to pay that $75. So I could do these medical emergencies all day long if I wanted to. And because I was a federal inmate, they were making so much money off federal inmates, something like $80 a day. They didn't care administratively. They were just like, don't let these federal inmates get fucked up. And it was like I don't know for sure, but I think it was a prison-wide policy, like a wink, wink kind of thing. But you never know. So roughly a year in, I do one of these medical emergencies, and I walk past K Unit, and there is this man, as I said, an adorable little murderer with his orange jumpsuit opened up like that all the way down to there. And he's got those iliac folds. Some people call them cum gutters or, man V. And I mean, girls, make me swoon. Why don't you? And much like the twins from the last episode, he was completely bare down there. He had shaved it all off, so there was no body hair. It's not really my thing, but I mean, so I'm walking past the bars, and this guy has a mouthful of golds and like beautiful brown eyes, and just he wasn't pretty. Don't get it wrong. He wasn't handsome, cute, none of that. He was just gorgeous. I don't know how to describe it any better than that. For those of you who've seen it, I mean, sometimes ugly men can be incredibly attractive, but not be cute. And like this man was nominally in there, as far as I knew, for murder. And, I don't find murder cute, but a murderer, my standards have not always been great. So I walk past, and at this point, I've got a full beard, long hair, and all the boys on K-Wing know that Miss Frank's sucking all the dicks. You put them out, she's sucking them. And the reason behind this is not just that I was a gay man with no self-esteem and body dysmorphia and a lack of what's the word here? Restraint. It's that at the time, I didn't know how long I was going to be in prison. I was facing about 21 years for possession with intent to distribute methamphetamine. And most of you will never know what that's like, to look at your life stretching out before you and it just to be this bleak prison term. And it's one thing to know, okay, I'm going to do 21 years. I'm going to do 8 years. I'm going to do 10 years. Lots of men and women adjust to this. They adjust to doing the time and not letting the time do them. But when you don't know the time, you have no idea, because the federal system, it really can go either way, especially back then, especially with the judge that I had. So, and that judge got ass cancer, which is one of the reasons why I was stuck there for 2 years, because he wouldn't sentence anybody while he was sick and he wouldn't trade his cases out to another judge. So, ironically enough, guy's a fucking asshole. So finally, I lost train of thought. I get to K-Wing, and as I said, there's this man with his jumpsuit open, just advertising for me. And I did what I do. I dropped to my knees and was preparing myself to go at it. And this man pulls out a dick the size of a baseball bat. And I'm just blown away. I'm like, what the fuck? Easily the biggest dick I saw in prison. I mean, it was like the size of my forearm. I'm 6'3", so it's not a small forearm. But hey, I love a challenge. So I took the whole thing and got good old Ziggy exactly where he needed to be. So every time I pass K-Wing for chow, for pill call, for medical emergencies, if anyone said Snow Bunny, if anyone knew I was there, Ziggy would, it was like magic. He would just be there. So, I mean, I sucked this dude off so many fucking times. He even, he even fucked me through the bars once. And I mean, that sounds maybe to some of you like a humiliating experience. It was not. It wouldn't occur until later, but there are very few times in life I've been fucked like that. And I see why people fall in love with him beyond the fact that, he's that ugly kind of cute, ugly kind of gorgeous. So let's get back to the relevant story. I know I'm going very long winded here, but, I've told this story before and I didn't allow myself the latitude to really dive into it. I just kind of focused on the sensationalness of it. So y'all are getting the full read this time for free, no less. And fast forward from the first time I met Ziggy to about 6 weeks later. And I am sitting in my bunk on L2. And again, there's going to be a little map here to show you what that looks like. And listening to my over the ear headphones. And a new inmate comes in. And the way you come into L2, there's like a Sally port door that slides. It's a huge metal door, and people walk through it and they're carrying a foam plastic covered mattress with them and a net bag with like their stuff, their orange jumpsuits, their underwear, their socks, the stuff that your issue, your blanket, your sheet. And this girl comes in and I mean, heads turned. When I tell you this girl was beautiful, I mean, she was tiny, maybe like 5'2", super skinny, beautiful face. Comes in, and some of the girls knew her. She was there for prostitution. And, her body legit gave boy, but only if you couldn't see that face. That face it was luminous. It was numinous, even. She was named Lil Bit. And most of the girls, as I said, they knew a little bit from the neighborhoods and whatnot. And I didn't know her. I didn't have nothing against her. We didn't have no problem at first. She didn't really talk to me. And like I said, at this point, I was nominally known on L2 as the president of the White Committee or Miss Frank, and everywhere else in the prison, Snow Bunny. I, I mean, I had a reputation. I had an MO, and it is what it is. But at this point as well, I had started doing something I had not been doing before, which was writing books while I was in prison. And while I was free, I could never find the time between drugs and sex and self-doubt and everything else. I mean, I knew I had the talent. At least I told myself I did, but I never actually put it into action. So I'm sitting there on my bunk thinking, hey, I got all this time. And I got my mom's voice in my head, like, why don't you write a book? Write a book. I was consumed by this. And the girls watched. They knew. They left me the fuck alone. So one day, maybe a week, 2 weeks after Lil Bit gets to the unit, she comes back from somewhere, pill call, GED, something. And she is just alive. Like her face is, ah! And I happen to not be wearing my headphones, so I can actually hear for the first time. And she sings. And my fucking God, could she sing? So amazing. Like it must be like the way some people, the first time they heard Beyonce sing, you were just like, what the fuck? And had I been a more friendly person at the time, I might have gushed over it and gone and been like, you're amazing. And then we might have connected, but that is not what happened. So the reason she was singing is because she met Ziggy. Much like me, she had been walking past K Unit, and this beautifully ugly man whips out this humongous dick and starts waving it at her. And I mean, look, the man had status in prison. He was there for murder. He was a big time drug dealer on the streets. Like people knew him. And for someone like Little Bit, I don't mean to like dive into someone else's psychology without being in their head, but it seems to me like this kind of positive seeming attention from a nominally straight man makes a trans woman feel super femme, like super, I am passing as a woman. And I know that that is what Little Bit wanted, the last part. And to get it from a man who doesn't just look sexy, but like is looking at you like you're sexy. That's powerful. And it hit her like a ton of bricks. You could tell in her face just how excited she was by it, how overwhelmed she was by it. And the song she was singing was Carrie Hilson, Knocks You Down. She's got a little headphone in. Sometimes love knocks you down. I can't sing like she can. It was amazing. I am not always the kind, loving man you see. And at the time, I was definitely not the kind of person who respects other people's boundaries or other people's hearts and desires. I'm not trying to excuse my behavior, but you have to understand, I didn't have anything else but that life that I was living at that time. And I had no expectation that this life that you see around me was ever going to be mine. All I knew then was that bunk, those headphones, those books, and those people. So the next time I'm out for a pill call and Ziggy waves that baseball bat at me, bitch, I sucked it with joy. Got him off in less than a minute. I always tasted good too. I don't know how people do that in prison. I don't think I tasted good. I never tried though. So after that, girls saw me do it. It was during a pill call. So other girls from the line saw me do it. They come back, they tell a little bit, and a little bit, does the whole thing. Like, stay away from my man. I'm gonna hurt you. And I'm like, bitch, I didn't have this body. Like, what you see right now did not exist in 2008. I was very fat, but skinny fat. Like I had this huge belly and I was just really skinny and I was not tough at all. But you don't need to be tough when you're 6'3" against someone who's 5'2", especially when you're mask presenting and they're femme presenting. It just, the math don't math there. At least in my head, it didn't. And it never ended up having to. So I just brushed it off. I was like, little bit, get the fuck out my face. I've been here for a year, almost a year and a half. I don't have time for this fighting bullshit. I'm not going to lockdown for you or for him, for none of this shit. I got a book to write. Leave me the fuck alone. And as a coda, I'm gonna suck all the dicks if I want to. I actually stood up in front of my bunk and I was like, all you bitches, your husbands are not safe. Get his tattoo on your arm. I'm sucking his dick. Get his tattoo on your face. I'm sucking his dick. I don't care who he is. If I want to suck a dick, I'm going to suck a dick. If you don't like it, come bust my jaw. Nobody busted my jaw. And in case you didn't catch this, I was blustering like a motherfucker. I really did not want someone to come and challenge me on this, but I wanted to feel myself, and I did. So as if I had summoned this into the universe, a few days later, Lil Bit comes back from yet another assignation with Ziggy. And she gets Ziggy tattooed on her forearm by Miss Sasha. And the way they tattoo in prison at the time is they take a big pen and a needle, and you ship the needle in, taped to the back of an envelope, the kind that has a metal clasp on it. You put the needle right above that metal clasp, and then you seal the envelope. And the way they open the letters in mail is with like a knife letter opener. So they open them at the top slit. They don't pull that flap open, so they never see that. And because there's already a metal clip there, it already goes through the metal detector, and so they never know. So Miss Sasha had needles, and she would use them to sew and to tattoo people and stuff like that. She's also a really great hairstylist. She cut my hair before my sentencing. Thank you, Sasha. And Sasha tattoos Ziggy on Lil Bit's arm. And Lil Bit she's just over the moon by it. And I mean, I'm not trying to destroy somebody's dreams here, but I found it funny. I'm like, you're in prison. That man is not your husband. He's not gonna be your husband. The two of you are constitutionally incapable of building a life with each other in these scenarios. You can build a moment with each other. Why not live in that moment? But hey, that's kind of judgy on my part. So, I never expressed that kind of thing to Lil Bit or really to anyone else in the moment. It's just reflection. But Lil Bit was smitten. I've called it love in the past, but it wasn't love. It was just lust and smitten, like being overwhelmed, limerence with someone. And it hit Ziggy too. Not that he stopped trying to get me to suck his dick, but he actually goes and tells the guards that he's gay so that he can get on L2 and be with Lil Bit. Now, at this point, I haven't seen Ziggy in weeks because I haven't done any medical emergencies and I haven't tried to hook up at Pill Call. I've just been kind of in my book world. And he gets in the unit, sees that I'm still there, and like literally stops and does a double take. Like, oh, hey. And Lil Bit sees it. No fucking shit. The next 2 hours, not even 2 hours, they call us for lunch for chow, and all the unit goes. And almost everybody in the unit goes to chow every single time because most of them don't have any money for commissary. So the chow is the only way they're going to eat. I had money for commissary. So sometimes I would stay behind on chow. That is not why I stayed behind this day because Ziggy also had money and he stayed behind. And that man dicked me down in the shower like nobody's business. It was the first time in prison that I had an orgasm without touching myself. Actually, second time, but the first time I wasn't technically in prison. I was technically at a rest stop. So it is what it is. um, and like maybe an hour later, all the girls come back from chow and Lil Bit sees that Ziggy is like laying in his bunk, all looking content. And I make a face at her. I'm like, fuck you. And she loses her fucking mind. She takes her slides off and she's like standing in front of my bunk, like, Miss Frank, I'm gonna beat your ass. You better get up. I'm gonna beat your ass. And I'm like, look, again, I told you, bitch, I'm not going to lockdown for you. Not going to lockdown for no dick. Leave me the fuck alone. And because I won't react to her, she then goes and starts trying to start shit with Ziggy. I'm gonna show you a little map again to show you like kind of how this happened. They're standing between two bunks next to me, whispering to each other kind of violently. And I've got my headphones on, the kind that remember, people think I can't hear on them. And I can't if I'm listening to music, but I wasn't listening to music. I was eavesdropping on these two. And they are arguing. And Lil Bit is telling Ziggy, she's like, you a motherfucking punk. You let that punk suck your dick. That makes you a punk. And Ziggy is not shy. He's like, I didn't let that punk suck my dick. I fucked that punk. Like a punk gets fucked. And I'm gonna do it fucking again if I want to. I ain't no motherfucking punk. I'm a man, bitch. You call me a punk again, I'm gonna break your jaw. She steps back a little bit and she's got this look on her face like it was really sad. It was like despair mixed with fear. And then she looks down and sees that I'm watching. And I don't know what superpower my face had to transfer to her, but it put steel in her spine. And she's like, she looks at Ziggy and goes, you a fucking punk out loud. Everyone can hear it. And I mean, I would not have thought this man could do this as fast, but literally just pop, it flashed so fast I almost missed it. And Lil Bit goes down unconscious, her jaw broken. And I would love to tell you that this story ends in a different way, except it wouldn't be a good story if it ended in a different way. Because I got up after that. And as she's groggily coming back into consciousness, clutching her jaw, I look down at her, pull my headphones down over my neck and say, sometimes love comes around and bitch, it knocks you down. And then got back in my bed and turned my music on. And that, folks, is Knocks You Down. I hope you liked the story. I hope you're enjoying this season of Pravity that's all about sex. And a little bit wherever you are, I hope you'll forgive me. Bye.